Hey guys and girls, Nathan here. Just wanted to hop out for a Facebook Live with you guys Friday nights with Birchie. So wait for you guys to hop online. I want to make this one more of a Q&A for everyone, and sort of look at some things that are happening out there in the marketplace. It's changing very, very rapidly on a daily basis. New things are popping up, way of life's been shaken up, and I just want to run through, some of my views on it, get some of your feedback on it, talk about some, sensitive topics out there, and just have a random chat. I was trying to do I was doing some test videos beforehand. Sorry for that, guys. I was coming on and going offline a fair bit. I was trying to do a dual chat, and I was going to bring Ridwan, who is principal accountant at One Path Accountants, to come and talk about some of these stimulus packages and everything that's being passed via different state and federal sort of treasury areas. However, we couldn't get that to work correctly, and I will be doing a Facebook Live on Sunday night, probably around a similar time to now, looking at all these sort of handouts that we're going to be getting. So I'm going to hop straight into it. Thanks for tuning in. Hey Mel, hey Nick, thanks for the shout out. Got a few topics that I want to talk about, and Michael, lots of chat with housing markets to go down, 20% losses, etc., etc. Thoughts on that? I've seen these articles. I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room straight away. I can see Hayden here wrote Monopoly. We're actually, heading into a very, very unprecedented times. We're actually heading for communism, fascism, statism, totalitarianism, martial law. We all joked about how ISIS behaved and whatnot. That's the system that we're in, guys. This is a very interesting one, though. What's going to happen with the property market? I'll give you my views on that in a moment. There is people coming out saying markets will go down 20%. I actually said the market would go down, 3 years ago. It would get hit lightly and then go up again. I think we're going to ride straight through this period. As a business, I do lots of deals. I have a large-scale buyers agency. I've lost probably 30 properties in the last 2 weeks. That's not from people pulling out. I've got more buyers out there, more people wanting to put the money into property than ever beforehand. What I'm finding, however, is there's a lot of activity still in the market. There's going to be less stock coming in the marketplace, and sorry, just my phone. When these chargers, everybody should go out there and buy a phone charger, because your phone chargers get fucked very quickly. And if we're going to go into lockdown for 6 months, then we're all going to be scrambling for a phone charger. Looking at the markets, the reason why I'm losing deals out there. For an example, I wrapped up a deal in southwestern Sydney. It was 280 grand. It was on for 310. I thought I was picking up a bargain for someone. By the time that I had the offer accepted, contracts were sent over. Within 3 hours, I had a buyer that signed the contract, sent it back. The property sold for 320,000. So I went 10 grand over the asking price, and got gazumped on the deal. So it's just a sign of things that are out there. A lot of people are fleeing from stock markets. People's supers have been stolen from them, and property deems itself as a safe haven. Will we see 20% losses? I doubt it. The question I have for everybody is, how's everyone going to go broke if we don't have to pay our mortgages, right? Like, there's a big difference I just uploaded a video beforehand that's going to come out to YouTube and Facebook. If you're not on the YouTube channel, go check out youtube.com/B.Invested. I've got a video coming out talking all about this. How can someone go bankrupt if the bank's not even charging you the mortgage, right? It's the first time in history that the government just pays for your mortgage. They're well, not the government, the central banks, right? We've got to remember the government's a bitch. However, these entities are stacking up, and I just read an article beforehand about a potential one world government, which we'll get into soon in conversation about shortly. But do I think we're going to see the property market fall off a cliff? No. I think we could see a little bit of a turbulent time over the course of the next 6 months or 12 months. But I think that any sort of fixed asset, doesn't matter whether it's my laptop, whether it's the phone, whatever it is, or any sort of item will be inflated away. You'll be paying a lot more for any item after this sort of period passes. So we're going to see massive inflation, guys, massive inflation. So Hayden, Monopoly, Josh, what are your thoughts about the pressure on for landlords to lower or pause rent for tenants? Look, someone's got to pay this bill. It's not going to be me. Fortunate enough, got insurances in place, got landlord insurance. So will the landlord insurance company still be around after this? Will they get a bailout? Someone's going to pay for this. It's not going to be me. It shouldn't be you. People are still benefiting from having a roof over their head. They may not have a job. I've always talked about with my properties that I buy, properties that are below market value, have an upside for capital growth, and have a strong cash flow. The reason why I buy below market value is if the market was to step back at all, then there's a buffer in place, and you'd you'd end up with bruises and scratches and not, losing your arms and legs like you've been in a war. Looking at from a cash flow perspective, buying properties, like some people laugh at me and say, oh, you buy shit properties, whatever the case may be. I buy affordable, blue-collar, working-class properties. That's what my specialty is in. And basically with the properties that I buy, a lot of them are already government tenants, right? So when the government's already paying the rent, there's not much room for them to lose their jobs. Centrelink pay their rent, Centrelink pay their income, and then everything comes through. So if you've got a larger scale property, you're probably going to be getting Centrelink as your tenant coming shortly. So it's going to be interesting, very, very interesting. I've given up on sort of making my predictions. I made very clear, bold statements. I actually got some hate mail of mine from 2 years ago when everyone thought that I fucking lost my mind. And I'm going to read that out just for a laugh shortly. But yeah, looking at statements, we will get through this, guys. We will come out the other side. How will we look on the other side? I want to go and talk about some of the dynamics of that this evening. And also, what some of these, if you're Neo in the Matrix, you would see the glitches and be like, fuck, this doesn't add up. And that's what, sort of birchFEED's all about. And I'll read out some of the stuff that's in birchFEED. And, maybe if some of you guys that are in there want to ask me some questions about some of the weird stuff that I've been posting, we can chat about it there as well. So, for all, looking forward to insight. Thanking you, Michael. Thanks for coming live, mate. Always love your thoughts and insights. Appreciate that. Stan, live feed is fucked again. Don't know why. Are you concerned about the type of government removing private property rights? Yes, that is a big, big concern of mine. Looking at our personal rights, our personal liberty. This is a fascist martial law style state, but it's not a state we're living in. It's a whole world. There's nowhere that's going to be safe from this. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what comes from the ruins of this. I have my thoughts, I have my feedback, and happy to share that with you guys. Vic, pros and cons for gold, specifically precious metal gold ticker. Look, I like gold. I like silver. I only like the physical formats. If we look at these companies which are selling ETFs and other sort of financial instruments from that, actually, I'm just noticing a lot of you saying that you can't see the video. I had a couple of people say the other day they couldn't see the video afterwards as well, and I realised it was like a glitch on the mobile site, on the mobile app. So it could be that you're on the app maybe go desktop, or if you're vice versa, it could be a streaming issue. Could be that the internet can't handle everything that's going on. It's interesting, they may be introducing 5G network for everybody during this period, which gives very bad health side effects, apparently. I've always wondered as a kid, how do they get these waves and the radio and the TV coming through by a satellite? Where's the image? How does the image get to here? Interesting sort of stuff to think about what, potential dangerous hazards are floating around us. But to answer your precious metals, I only purchase, the physical, and a lot of retailers at the moment don't have any physical precious metals, which is a concern for everybody. You should all be concerned about that, unless you've got lots of it. But yeah, it's just a sign of things to come. Gerks, what percentage of unemployment rate can it go up to? Do you think it will recover soon enough? How long can the government keep paying everyone before it goes bankrupt? Good question. Government was bankrupt to start off with. They don't give you their money. They print money. A lot of people are asking, why is the dollar falling? It's because they're printing more money and it's going down. It's losing its value. Property, for example, never goes up in value. The money that you're buying it with is losing its value. If we look at the Aussie dollar, the more money we print, the less value it has against the US dollar. If the US dollar was to print more money, it would lose its value, and our dollar would look like it's greater compared to theirs. So we could keep going on to infinity. The more money that they're going to print, the bigger the hyperinflation is going to be. The hyperinflation, and this period, like let's say they lock us down for 2 weeks, for 2 months, for 6 months. I actually think, if you think about the words that our communist leader and dictator is saying at the moment, Scott Morrison, he's trying to let us down lightly, but he does keep reiterating it wouldn't be good for a kid to miss a whole year of school if we had to let everyone go away for 2 months or two weeks. So a lot of people thinking it could be 2 weeks, could be 2 months, could be 6 months. I think somewhere in the later, maybe even 6 months, we could be sitting around like this for. The more money that they're stimulating, the bigger the hyperinflation is going to be, and the less value that's going to be left of the dollar when we get out of this. So as we start seeing the economies recover, it's going to recover full swing to the opposite side, because the only way to counteract this is via printing money and getting ourselves out of the hole. So, and also remember, guys, this isn't a issue like if you guys are feeling scared, don't know where to turn to, or whatever the case may be. It's not your problem, right? If you were financially screwed, then you'd have right to sit there and be like, okay, everything's crumbling, right? I've lost my job, can't get a loan, can't pay my mortgage, whatever, right? Like I've been in really fucked up situations financially over the years. Whoa, that my car's going off. I've been in some really fucked up situations over the years. However, hopefully the alarm will stop soon. Rating it for toilet paper. But yeah, over the years, like if that was an issue just for you, I could feel where the concern would be, etc. However, this is a problem that everybody is in. So, no one can pay their mortgage, right? When have you ever thought that the government would say, don't worry about paying your mortgage, don't worry about paying your council rates, don't worry about paying your electricity bill, we're not going to turn off your electricity for you, right? This is some really unprecedented sort of times. So a few years ago, I was yelling at these cameras, right? I was watching some videos of me the other day, and I was like, wow, that was me. That was me, yelling and going, fuck guys, listen to this, blah, blah. It was like I'd created something. I was like, this financially can't add up. And it probably did sound very crazy. I'm very, very excited by the time. Never let a crisis go to waste. There's lots of opportunities out there. There is a lot of pain, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I've got 100 odd staff. I've got national offices for all different types of businesses. Feeling the pinch in a lot of areas. However, I'm still very optimistic and excited about what's about to come. And that's because I've been able to build up sort of position, understanding how the monetary system works, understand how the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle fit onto the playing field, and I've been able to act accordingly to build up to this day. Am I in a great position to take advantage of the market? Some will say, oh, I wish I was in your position, Nathan. It's never enough. I think I'll be okay. I've got lots of ballasts, and I'll keep using the word ballasts. And basically what I'm talking about with the ballast is having different sorts of financial instruments that you can drop at different times. So, for example, cryptocurrency is very big in them. Precious metals very big in them. Paper assets like the stock market, no exposure at the moment, but I will be getting into that market over the time. Business is very exposed in business. Property, obviously, very exposed on that front. So yeah, different types of assets to do different types of jobs throughout one's portfolio. The unemployment, to answer your question, could be 20%, could be 30%, could be 40%, could be 50%. Things are going to get very, very ugly out there. And I'm not going to make any sort of, hide it and be like, oh no, it's all going to be great. Things will get ugly out there for people. There are steps to take. There are warning signs to see. I'm going to run through some of my notes that I made, just some very basic notes. And I'm also going to run through some stuff in birchFEED to talk about, what opportunities I see and what are the issues and the hurdles that I see there. Luke, what is a good place to buy gold and silver from? I was using Perth Bullion beforehand. They went into administration recently. It's becoming very, very difficult to buy gold and silver. Be careful buying stuff on eBay. You can go straight to the Perth Mint. I've always tried to avoid going to the Perth Mint because they track everything. In 1933, there's a thing called a Gold Confiscation Act of 1933, where it was illegal for people to purchase gold or hold silver in that period of time, and it was a Gold Confiscation Act. And what happens if we have martial law? We're already starting to see martial law. One roll of toilet paper, one piece of meat. If you go outside, I was watching this video. One of my Indian mates sent it to me just beforehand. And it's got these Indians that are driving around their fucking motorbikes and shit in India, and other Indians are coming along and smashing them with like sticks and stuff, like get off the street, and all masked up and they're getting hit. We're in that place where, and there's a video of police questioning some chick that was out on the street. So it's like a police, like a RBT, and they're like, show me your groceries. You're going through the groceries in the car. It's like, this is fucking criminal stuff. So yeah, looking at if you go and purchase stuff from the government knows what you own. So from my perspective, I'm a body, I'm a person, I have a skin, I have bone, I have muscle, I have a lot of fat as well. But, it's trying to navigate through those positions, not to go under the radar sort of thing. So, Jose, should we hold off from buying a new property now? I think at the moment, things are going to be a little bit clunky out there. There's a lot of people scared of the markets. There's a lot of people that may panic and go, shit, I've got to sell, the sky's going to fall in, I've seen this on some movies beforehand, I've got to get out, and they'll dump their assets, and that's where I'm sitting, right? And I'm sitting there very, very calm. Going into any war, no one ever wins a battle by not having their energy and emotion stable. So I think it's important for people to be very logical in this period of time and make decisions that are based on logic. The reality of it is how many people will go bankrupt over buying a property. I think it'll be very low, very close to low levels. The reason being is that there's going to be so much backlash. If the banks dumped all their assets and bankrupted everyone, the banks, who's going to pick up the assets? The same people that just lost their properties. So they need to be very logical. This is a checkmate situation. Everyone's fucked, right? Everybody's fucked on this game board. And I can't explain that clear enough, right? It's checkmate. The only way to fix this is to print more money. When they print more money, everybody will be happy again. Everyone will appear to be fine. and this will be the last cycle in the monetary system. The money system we've got at the moment will die via hyperinflation. A lot of people ask me about the hyperinflation. Will that happen now? Or will that happen, I want to protect myself before the hyperinflation. The hyperinflation is going to be sometime in the next maybe 2 to 3 years to the next 7, 8, 10 years. We will not avoid a hyperinflation unless we just kill the currency straight away and go to something else. And it's inevitable that we're going to come to this point. So everybody's stuck at checkmate. Do I think there's going to be a massive crash? No. We've already seen what they're doing in the stock market, and this is something just for Deutsche Bank. I just went and checked on Deutsche Bank beforehand. 6.11 euro. It hit 4.5 euro, which was insolvent. Anything under 5.78 euro, the bank is insolvent. We have seen, very strangely, Deutsche Bank got all the way back up, just over the line of solvency, and everything else has been crashing and collapsing. And we have seen this bank every day just keep going back up and reinflating to get over that solvent level. So if you look at the hand, if you assess the situation, always look at it. Does anyone remember that Law and Order Criminal Intent with that Detective Goran bloke? And he stands at the side of the room and he's like, and he's very weird. I tend to think everything from every vantage point and look at where hands crumbling. And I've looked at a lot of people's body language and actions that they take, and you can see through their position and be like, okay, this person's fucked. Just need to push them a little bit, they're going to fall over. And that is, the system. They're having to support the system from every single aspect. So, should we be buying a property at the moment? Your call. I believe that it's a fantastic time to be buying because as interest rates go down, there's not much lending. As of next Monday, they're going to be removing the APRA rulings that came back in 2016, 2017, meaning that it will become easier for people to get loans. As interest rates go down to zero, we're going to see a blow-off top point just before the dollar dies. And between now and the next, say, 3 to 4 years, before the hyperinflation ravishes all the economy, now would be the time over that period of time to build up that portfolio. That is why people are stocking up on cheap toilet paper. They don't want to be paying the inflated price of $100 a packet. Exactly. We laugh at it now about the cost of toilet paper and groceries and whatnot. We're in a deflationary time, and people will feel poor. They'll need to stimulate this economy to push it forward. People will hold off from spending. After we get through this, people's lives are going to be very, very different to what they were beforehand. People's spending habits, people's mindset. Time will pass, things will fade, and we'll get on with life, and things will appear like they never went wrong. However, there will be a point where people, start spending that money, and we'll start seeing inflation, and it will become runaway inflation. So I expect that we will see multiple cycles. So everyone's seen the last 10 years, 12 years of good financial growth globally. I think that we're going to see, spiking and very quick sort of market turnarounds over the next decade, which could last for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year cycles until eventually we kill that money that we use, that we call dollars. Dan, do you think with all the money printing being done by countries worldwide that hyperinflation could come sooner than later? Keep up with the live videos. Thanks, mate. I just covered that. Funny enough. Is there much possibility of a big deflation without much of an inflation? From Shane, there is a possibility of massive deflation, but it will kill everything in the system. The controlling hands, that are powers at play will hurt themselves. So they need to keep in a certain target range to keep the ship afloat. If they sink it too hard, it will wipe everything out, and all their assets will turn to shit as well. So I think it's important that they maintain buoyancy in the markets, and I think they will overshoot it. And certainly, like, we're at 0%, guys. Think about this. I was driving to my office the other day, and interest rates are 25 basis points at the RBA. they were at 125 basis points going back this time last year. 150 basis points, sorry. And we've lost, like 80% of the value of the rates. If we were to increase interest rates by 25 basis points now, that means it will go from 25 to 50 basis points. In effect, the interest rates would double overnight. They'll double. If someone's working on a 1% spread, their rate has gone up from 125 basis points to 150. If it goes up 1% from 1%, from 25 basis points to 125 or 1.25%, that means that the cost of money that person's borrowed has doubled, and people will not be able to support that. Hence why rates will stay low for the long term. They cannot recover from this. The rates cannot recover from the point we're at the moment. The only thing that can is capital controls, which we're seeing, martial law on everything. And when capital control comes in, the flow of liquidity, you'll have to meet special parameters in order to get loans. This will be later on as we head into the hyperinflation to try and stop that. And I can see, 2 steps ahead of where they've tried to protect themselves, but that will mean that people won't be able to get loans and purchase and acquire assets like they can now. So now is a good time to be doing so. If we're heading into communist territory, what effect will that have on property? Crazy. We live in, we're free-range communists already. I use the word communism, and I throw it around a lot. We're as free as a free-range chicken. We feel that we're free, but we're both going to end up on the dinner plate as a cooked chicken. So, things are just going to get tighter. Things are going to get tighter as we start inflating and devaluing the currencies even more. It will just become harder and harder for people to acquire said assets. So that's why I'm very well diversed in different sort of markets to try and, as I said, the word ballast beforehand, try and ballast myself through these sorts of markets. Sam, if house prices drop, will that affect your borrowing capacity on your principal place, for example, with equity, or will the banks keep trying to throw money at you? They're trying to throw money at you. Like, this is the funniest thing, right? They're not even charging you for your home loan. They're like, look, guys, things are fucked. Big Brother has a daddy's come down and spoken from the RBA. Philip Lowe, Satan himself, has come in and he said, look, let's not charge anyone because we don't want to kill you all because you are our slaves. So they're going to throw the kitchen sink at this to help keep you, which you're their asset, afloat and alive. Won't load. Don't know what's going on with these. Just make sure, guys, if something does happen, censorship is something that's going to run rampant in time to come. Make sure that we are connected. Sign up to the B.Invested website, to our newsletter. Make sure that we're in communication. The best place to be, and the reason why I've been doing birchFEED for free for everybody of recently, is just to ensure that I can speak free speech in there. I can send videos, articles, pictures, images, whatever, with whatever I want in there. It can't be censored. It's an uncensored sort of thread. And communication is much better there. So, the loving the video. Thanks for the time to talk to us. What is your April RBA prediction? I actually put that in about 3 hours ago into birchFEED. At this point, I predict it'll be a hold. That could change because we have another week between now and then. We're currently at 15 points, I believe. I'm just going to go double check that again. Just give me one moment. Wrong screen coming up. We're at 16 points. So if we were to have a rate decision today at 16 points, which is 0.16%, we would see a hold pattern. If that was to head to 12 points or 0.12%, then we would see a rate cut. So it's still too early tell. I believe between now and then, if all we have to do is lose 4 points, and they would be forced their hand into 0%. Just remember that Philip Lowe told us last year that interest rates would be going up at the start of last year, and in November 2018 they would be going up. That is when the yield curve inverted, and suddenly we ended up with rates going down. So you cannot trust what is coming out of the propaganda outlets on that front. One other thing I wanted to draw your attention to: if you are locked at home, via martial law, I talked about all this stuff. I actually have an 8-hour video series, which I just went on fucking rants for everybody, and I sounded like I was crazy. And I talked a lot about this stuff, and you can find that on the. It's called Raw and Uncut on YouTube. Everything that's happening now, predicted 2 years ago in May in 2018, I verbally came out and put into those videos. So go onto YouTube, check out under the B.Invested in the playlist, Raw and Uncut. It's 5 videos, about 1.5 to 2 hours each. So yeah. Also check your text messages. I will do soon. No video. Just make sure that censorship. From what I can see, my landlord insurance won't be covering any non-payment by tenant. Is that what normal, or were you expecting them to pick up the tab? I expect that my landlord insurance company will be picking up the tab for me. Of any shortfalls, and as for all of our investors. So if you go to Terry Shear website, went onto it yesterday, and it says on there that there is an embargo, that they're not allowing anyone to get insurance anymore because everyone's just going to run and get insurance. So these companies like Terry Shear, any of the insurance companies, I believe that they will be bailed out via stimulus measures. In the future, we will see the insurance companies collapse, having to pay out too many payments. They weren't built for this, and those things will be bailed out via the government. But how do I get onto birchFEED? Need you guys to email office. Just email admin@binvested.com.au. Send over your mobile phone number, and they will add you into it for you. Loving the birchFEED. Thanks. How do we get on the birchFEED? As I said, email my office, admin@binvested.com.au. That's the quickest way to get there. On mobile, I see. Do you think American housing default rate will rise, causing another financial crash globally with the banks? In 2009, it was $8.5 trillion worth of derivatives that caused the GFC. They were just basically bets between banks, and then super funds picked up the bets and then they turned them into financial instruments. Has anyone noticed that since 2008, before 2008, you'd see people driving a Datsun, a Daihatsu, any cars from the 80s or the 70s, a Mitsubishi Sigma, a Holden Gemini, but you don't see these cars on the road anymore. The reason being is, sorry, I need to get some water. I've got no one here to give me water today. But these cars, the reason being is that they made financial instruments out of the automobile industry in the last decade. Now there is everything's in a bubble. They've made Afterpay, so you can buy a pair of pants and pay them off over the 6 months. All these businesses are time bombs. They're zombie companies, and they're about to implode. And I see everything needing to be bailed out. This is a bubble which is on nearly every single product out there in the marketplace, is needing to be bailed out. Some cheap food which has been cheapened to poison people, is not of highest standard. Appears similar sort of price, like a loaf of white bread or whatever the case may be. But most items, even food and whatnot, have inflated away. If we look at precious metals, they haven't been inflated away. If we look at property in real dollar terms, they haven't, not all markets have been inflated away, and they have cash flow. The reason why I like property is that it has a capital appreciation that can be inflated away, and it has a cash flow position which can be inflated away. The cash flow position that gets inflated away is where all of you guys will retire from as we see a hyperinflation. Andrew, dead cat bounce on the Dow. Yes, it is a dead cat bounce. It isn't a bounce of any proportion. What is happening on the Dow, for those of you that don't know what the Dow is, Dow Jones Index. What has happened on there is the US Fed has come out, and this is really unprecedented. They've come out to put $6 trillion worth of stimulus in the market upon another $2 trillion. And I'm talking trillion-dollar stimulus packages in a week, right? And this market has got unlimited quantity of easing now, unlimited. They will just keep buying all the stock. And what happens at the end? The central bank buys all of the stocks. No one has any stocks. You're being shaken down right now for your assets. You're being fleeced. Your super fund's being stolen. Your personal rights are being stolen. You're stuck in your fucking house. What's more dangerous? Like, how many people are at home drinking, getting on the piss, smoking the bong, fighting with their missus, slapping, all those sorts of things that are bad. Like, this is a really, really sort of, interesting situation. Our rights have been taken away from us. They own all of the companies, own all of the assets. They're going to take down all the assets, and they're going to win. On most accounts, people are going to have weak hands, and they're just going to hand it all over, which is, pretty bad. Sam, do you think the mining companies will go overboard with metal mining in order to still make money, but in doing so, drop the price of the metals with an influx of gold in the markets? Could happen. However, when you're pulling gold out of the ground and silver out of the ground, it takes human manpower. It's going to take, the machines, the diggers, all the things that would be involved in mining. That comes with a cost. So it has to be profitable for that to be pulled out of the ground. So as everything goes up, my video is the only one that crashes the computer. I'm apologising for that. Interesting. Pharrell, what car do you drive? I drive at the moment my Ford Ranger. The front end of it, I hit a kangaroo. It's cable tied together. I have had millions of dollars worth of vehicles. Used to drive around a Bentley. I still own a G-Wagon, sits in my basement. I don't even like driving the car. If anyone wants to buy a G-Wagon, I'm cool to sell that. But yeah, I prefer to drive my Ranger. I can throw it around, I can throw stuff in it, and basically don't have to care about it. So Jose, should we hold off on buying property? I answered that one for you beforehand. For people with some cash funds, could there be restriction placed on accessing those funds from the banks in the near future? Yes, very important question, and thank you for asking that, Amanda. I am going to open up a article here. This was an article, and it's got like a porno video on it. If any of you wanting to watch, go look that up. And it reads, cash payments over $10,000 to be banned as government targets a $50 billion black economy. This was written from our mate Frank Chung over at news.com on May the 9th, 2018. So that was when the budget came out on the 9th of May. I recall putting this in that 5-part video series called Raw and Uncut on the B.Invested YouTube page. It says, the day of cash for less discounts are officially coming to an end. The government has introduced an economy-wide cash payment limit of $10,000 to keep dishonest tradies and businesses from rorting the system by taking cash in hand. Treasurer Scott Morrison. He was a treasurer then, and now he's the big boss. Scott Morrison from ScoMo. Anyway, he's a big boss, but in the grand scheme of things, he's the one with the fucking hand up the backside from the central banks and those that are the ones that are controlling this party. But he was the Treasury before, and he said the Black Economy Standing Task Force will be beefed up to detect people making sneaky cash transactions through a rigorous identification system and mobile strike teams. Black Economy Hotline will also be set up to allow people to dob in anyone who may be cheating the system. Cash provides an easy, anonymous, and largely untraceable mechanism for conducting black economy activity. The reason why these capital controls were put into play is very simple. When you have a bank run, at the moment, Amanda, you go to the bank and ask for your money out, they're going to say you can only have $2,000, $5,000. If you ask for anything higher than that, they give you a whole pile of fucking questions like you're a terrorist, funding Al Qaeda. 10 grand is probably the max that they'll give you. Having money in the banks, cash is trash. Like, I do not like having cash, especially don't trust it in the banks. If the money is trapped in the system, it's not yours, it's part of the system. They can close that. Have you ever seen someone with a bank account closed, frozen, can't get your money? They'll just block you out of the system. It's like in the biblical prophecies where it says the mark of the beast, which we'll get into some of those things a little bit later. Yeah, just to answer your question. Vic, should I sell property if I get a good price and wait for the right time? A lot of people are going to get slaughtered, guys. A lot of people will get slaughtered throughout this time. Selling off your assets before a hyperinflation, I need everyone to understand this, right? Like, go sell them. That's fine. I'll buy them. Right? If anyone's fearful of a property, right? This is something random. I'm ready to do a bet with everybody. I don't like just random throwing stuff out there, right? If you've got a property and you want me to buy it, I will buy it. I won't settle on it now. I'll settle on it in 5 years' time, but I'll guarantee you a price. And on that price, I guarantee you that I'll be winning on that because hyperinflation is going to push the value of any product up, a pen, a vase, fake plants, whatever the case may be, everything's going to rise in value, and that includes your assets being your property. So debt becomes relevant with inflation, and you can pay off today's debt with tomorrow's dollars, which are worthless. So selling off a property now, without giving financial advice, it could be good, it may not be good. For me, I'm trying to accumulate assets personally in whatever format I can. So this is my personal viewpoint. David, people will talk about 2020 like we'll talk about the Great Depression. This time, all the images will be in colour. Maybe these Facebook Lives will end up in a museum. That'd be really cool. This is something that, we really need to look at, this time and this phase that we're going through. The world will look back on this, right? And, your children, if you've got kids, I don't have children at this point in time, I plan on having lots of children one day. And kids will look at the parents and be like, who remembers their grandmother or their great grandparents or whatnot, like hoarding shit away. They have like a room full of baked beans and they tell you not to waste and eat every scrap and whatever. Like, they were traumatized by shit from years ago. And, the way that you behave in this time will feed off onto other people. And you can have, a positive effect on those that are around you, or you can have a negative effect. You can let that stress for feeding your children. Children will feel scared and all that. So, people will look back at this time. The difference between now and the Great Depression is that people didn't have a choice, right? They were, jobless or whatever, right? At this point, like, this is manufactured. Right? I should take the last one back. They didn't have a choice. They were screwed. But at this point in time, this is manufactured, right? We don't, like, the economy as it was going along was intact. And actually talking about the Great Depression and 2020, I'm going to leave everyone with a bit of homework as well. Go and do a bit of research. Go and look up on Wikipedia a guy called Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was the president of the United States around 1928 to 1932, and he was the fall guy for the Great Depression. He built the Hoover Dam, had a few, think about this, right? The Hoover Dam, the Trump Wall, right? He was a business person. Literally, the guy looked, spoke, and had the same profile as Donald Trump, right? and he was positioned there, and then it's collapsed, and then he was the fall guy for it. If we look at the past, it's very eerie, right? Like go research the bloke, Herbert Hoover and Donald Trump. Look at them up, and they're both the same sort of people. What other stimulus packages will come out from Josh? Josh, I'm going to do a Facebook Live on Sunday night with Ridwan. Ridwan is my principal accountant. He's director of One Path Accountants. He will be with me in my office. I don't care if there's a fucking lockdown. We're still going to be doing a Facebook Live. I tried to test one today with having 2 screens, but it won't allow. So we're going to have to sit side by side, very comfy, without that separation with social distancing, but we'll be fine. We'll survive. Yeah, we'll be talking about all the different types of stimulus packages that are out there in the marketplace, and look at what other stimulus packages may come. What we've got to remember, guys, is every second day is a stimulus package coming out. Councils now are saying they won't charge council rates. Electricity companies not paying electricity. Mortgage companies saying they're not going to charge you for mortgages. Basically, they're preparing us for a fucking lockdown of epic proportions. And it's going to be really, really exciting to see what other stimulus packages, because if you've got exposure in certain markets, you can pick up. Like, for example, if you've got businesses, you can claim the business grants. If you've got properties, you can claim free mortgages. If you've got properties, you can claim landlord insurance. Right? There's different things that are going to happen, and you're going to ride through this and come out on top. Prashant, what were you going to say about ETFs? I was going to say what I always say about them is that I don't trust them. These, if I can't see my asset, if I can't touch it, know it's real. If it's a paper asset, there's so many different types of derivatives out there of different products, like an ETF of gold or ETF of silver or ETF of corn, right? You don't own the fucking corn. You own a bet that you could potentially get some corn or some gold or whatever the case might be. I don't, making a good call on an ETF when all of this, imagine musical chairs. I've talked about this a lot in my mentoring program I did for the last 12 months, which was 2 years ago, talking about this stuff. I talked about musical chairs, right? It's going to be like a party. There's going to be music. Everyone's fucking happy. That's the economy going around. The music's going to stop. Everybody's going to run for a chair, and there's going to be no fucking chairs there. And that's what happens. And, with situations like this with ETFs. So I'm not even worried about speculating on that. I'm making very strategic chess moves in order to, get myself to a position and be able to say checkmate. And that's why I like dealing with physical sort of assets. Is Newcastle a good place to invest? Yes, I like Newcastle. There's a lot of infrastructure going up at Newcastle, and the North Connect's actually open soon, which no one's going to be driving on for a while. But the North Connects will open that corridor up. A lot of people will commute to Sydney. We're going to have to bring more people in by immigration to help pay off this massive burden that we're going to have in the way of stimulus. And that means that the Sydney urban sprawl is going to go out further, and we're going to see more expansion, more building, keep up, and Newcastle's going to benefit greatly from that. Brendan, New Zealand government just put $7,000 of free money in my account, $585 for 12 weeks. That's fucking awesome, guys. That's awesome. Good work, Brendan. What are you going to spend your $7,000 on? You're going to buy crypto, you're going to buy some gold, chuck it towards a property. I bought a property this week for a client for $16,000. That's 16,000, right? Picked up a property for someone. Yes, it wasn't the most attractive thing. Yes, it wasn't in a capital city. Yes, it was very habitable. Yes, it is in a big capital city as well. So, a lot of people think they don't have enough money. $16,000 will buy you a property outright. There's not too many of them around out there in the market. But yeah, what are you going to spend your $7,000 on? That's awesome. there's going to be a lot more of that. That's just a taste of things to come. So it's cool. Clint and Nathan, do you think that negative interest rates are a reality here within 3 to 6 months? My call was to be at 0 or 0.25% by 1st of July. We're at 0.25% now. I believe we will hit 0, and I know that we'll head to a negative rate. It is going to be a negative interest rate, guys. When? I don't know. Right? They're not even charging us interest rates now. Right? They're not even charging interest rates. It's crazy. Janine, hey Nathan, with hyperinflation, will salaries inflate too? Yes. If someone's on 50 grand, they'll go to $1 million. They might sound, wow, I want $1 million a year salary, but $1 million per year will not even buy you what 20,000 would buy now. So, yeah, with it, I actually did a video on hyperinflation yesterday. I'm trying to upload it at the back end so my team can put it onto YouTube. So keep an eye out the next couple of days, and that will be there. Brendan, so will the banks become more liquid? Will home loans become easier to get? I believe that they will in the short term, but as we start seeing levels of inflation and things to recover, we're going to see massive capital controls tighten and squeeze that liquidity channel. So this is the window, right? People said 3 years ago, I told a lot of my investors, go and pull your equity out of your properties while you can. The banks are being allowing, they're like, I don't need the 50 grand. I don't need the 100 grand, right? I'm sure that if you had the opportunity to take that again, you'd be like, fuck, I wish I could get access to it. And we're going to be looking at this period going, why didn't I take advantage of the opportunities? It will become easier in the short term to access capital. In the longer term, it will become very, very, very difficult to get access to liquidity. The reason being is that interest rates, as they go to 0 and go to negative, can't make their way back up. So they've got to put other measures in place in order to stop and restrict the capital outflow. What would replace the dollar if hyperinflation takes hold and the dollar dies? Good question. I believe some sort of digital formatted currency out there. I use the word currency because the money that you've got isn't money. The silver coins look like silver. The gold coins look like gold. They're a fake representation of what money used to mean, but they've lost all their value. These revolutions have gone around over the millennium, and I believe that this is something where there's some wool being pulled over all of our eyes whilst you're sitting at home, locked in your house like a prisoner. There's a new world that's happening out there, and there's talks about new world orders and the 2030 agenda. The way that the Internet of Things is working, the IOTA sort of networks. Very, very interesting world. I believe that there will be a digital currency. If we look at, I think a lot of people should go back to the roots of the instruction manuals of life, and that's not going biblical, but if we go and look at all religions out there, or most religions out there, the mainstream religions, they talk of mark of the beasts and stuff like that. We are turning into an Orwellian government situation where we will have some sort of tracked and traced social sort of credit score, where you have to line up for some Centrelink like a slave. Please fill my bowl with porridge, put some money in there for me. I want to go and feed my kids. That's why I believe assets are important, physical assets. Taking charge of your own personal liberty and freedom and rights is important. It's not all just about property. It's not all about cryptocurrencies. It's not all about buying gold and silver. I think having a mixture of different things out there is important, and obviously none of this is financial advice. Jesse, are property valuations going to have a CoronaSCAM deduction similar to the spot price of gold and silver currently? This is a very good one, right? So those of you that are trying to buy gold and silver, the spot prices were like 50 cents an ounce on silver. Like I've heard of premiums of like $5 and $6 because you can't physically get access to precious metals at the moment. Will property have that? I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell, and it's going to be really, really interesting. Will I get hurt out of this personally? I sit here with a happy face. I will get hurt in some ways. Naturally, I am. I've got staff that aren't in their offices at the moment. They're working from remotely. Different things I've had to do to adapt, and that's a part of being successful. It's being able to adapt, grow and change and be able to navigate in different times. And a lot of people will sit there and just sit at home, watch Netflix, watch Pornhub, beat themselves off all day, and this time will pass and they're like, oh fuck, I remember when paddle pops were $2.40 instead of like $6, and I can't afford to buy a pack of smokes now because they're like $80 or $100, and I can't get by, and a property, I can't get into a property for less than $1.5 million, and my rent's gone up to 50 grand a year, and that's the opportunity, guys, right? And being able to navigate through these markets is what's important. It doesn't matter if it's in business, doesn't matter if it's in investing, doesn't matter if it's just in life. To be successful, you need to be adaptable to change. But I don't know what's going to happen with property valuations on that front, but it'll be an interesting time to see. Tommy, there are articles online suggesting landlords will be forced to allow tenants to live in their properties for free. My neighbour is here watching and is concerned. I told him about the government rental stimulus. Can you please shed some light to ease his concern? Tommy, thanks for hopping online, and hi to your neighbour. Look, at the moment, we're not paying our mortgages, right? Like, there's opportunities for you to go on a mortgage holiday where they're not charging you the interest. It's like they're just going to blow your mortgage out for a further 6 months at the end and tack it on at the end there. But I was talking to one of my guys in the office the other day, and we're having a laugh. And it's like, when we go to pay these properties off, the money's going to lose all of its value. So, of course, it's great, because when you go to pay your loan off in 5 years' time or 10 years' time or 20 years' time, that interest that you're paying today and they're charging you for, they're not actually even charging you, they're rolling into the loan, it's going to be a speck of dust in the future. So, we're in a market where mortgages don't cost you, councils aren't going to charge you council rates, the tax department's basically closed down their debt collection team. We've got OSR, which is not charging land taxes now. This is fucking insane, guys. It really is. We've got landlord insurance policies, which everybody's got, which the landlord insurance companies will probably go broke and go bankrupt in the future. However, they'll get bailed out via the central banks, and then they own more assets because that insurance company is an asset. And what is the government going to do? They're going to have to do something. They've said that they're looking at taxes and tax breaks, but they ain't going to cut the cheese, guys. We're at a point they're going to have to accommodate the tenants' rents. And if I look at a lot of the blue collar properties, I used to get laughed at. Why would you buy a property in Western Sydney in a housing commission area? So, well, when I buy that property in the housing commission area, the tenants on Centrelink anyway, they can't lose their Centrelink. They're getting paid from the government to start off with. And I think that we're going to see a lot of. Imagine if your average rent's $300 for an investor. Like, my average rent's, I'd say, to be about $300. Some are like $2,000 a week in some of my properties. Some of them are like $5,000 a week in some of my properties. But on average, I'd say $300 a week. If the government starts giving away a basis, like, what's the average rent in the country? Maybe $500 a week. They might say, okay, we're going to give $250 to everybody. Right? I don't know. Right? They're going to come out with stuff constantly, and I'm not concerned, because, as I was saying beforehand, is that this is not a problem of mine. This isn't a problem of yours, and you are not a lonely person on an island that is stuck there going, fuck, poor me, right? This is, everybody's completely screwed. So they're going to have to come up with something. They're going to inject all this liquidity in the market. It's going to go bang. When the markets recover, we're going to start seeing inflation, a little bit of inflation, and then we're going to see this ramp up. You have to slap stimulus package after stimulus package after stimulus package after stimulus package after stimulus package. And eventually it's going to roll out and flood. And that's where we're going to see massive inflation. So owning the assets is what's important. Taking this asset through this market cycle may feel like it's a drain. It might be like, fuck, I'm carrying, like, imagine if you're in a war, right? And you've got like two people, one over each shoulder, and you're like carrying them, getting them to safety, right? Like, it may feel like that you're walking through fucking mud in a war zone, carrying two fucking 100-kilo people on each shoulder, getting to that end line, try not to lose your boots in the mud. However, when you get to the other side, right, like, this is going to be amazing. Being able to take your assets through the cycle, holding on to your assets is the biggest thing, and collecting all the chips on the chessboard is the most, crucial part. So, yeah, with it, I'm seeing here, Tommy suggested everybody, if they can't watch, to restart and log back in. I don't know what's going on with these Facebook Lives lately, but yeah, sorry about that. Vince Hayne sitting on about 70% LVR on a few investment properties. Better to sell now and buy again later. The doomsday is predictive 40% crash. Are killing me, lol. I love the live streams. Thanks. Look, I'm happy to take anybody's assets. Anyone that wants to throw the assets away, I'm more than happy to work out deals. Right? Just remember, the banks aren't fully operational at the moment. If someone's scared and want to sell me their assets, I'm happy to take a bet, right? I'll take a bet on the future value of your property and buy that. Let's make that a game, right? Like, if someone doesn't want a property, flick me an email at one of my various email addresses. You'll find them on the page. If you want a review on your position or whatnot, guys, hit me up, nathan@zingerfinance.com.au. It's my cleanest email inbox. That's why I'm throwing it out there so much, so I can get to your emails, most conveniently and accessible. So, yeah. Hey Nathan, you need to update your picture in your website, mate. It'll become false advertising if you get any older. Thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. Moving right along. I've been following everything closely, though. Thanks so much for having these sessions. They're super valuable. Thanks a lot. I appreciate the feedback, guys. And I appreciate you guys. Not that you got really much else to do now that you're a prisoner of your house and watch something, but yeah. But thanks for tuning in. You could be watching some porno on the websites that they're giving away for free or whatever, but you're here with me. Matthew, not working. It's a system. They're trying to control narrative. Come on, Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, something's going on there, guys. Do you think people should keep their mortgage loans on variable or fix them with these very low rates? What I encourage everyone to do, if you have a mortgage, flick me an email at nathan@zingerfinance.com.au. I'll have a look at your position, maybe even organise a phone hookup for us to look at your position and see if we can restructure your debts. Everybody's position is different. I can't give that sort of financial advice. What I can say on my own behalf is that I'm not fixing interest rates at the moment. It is very tempting at 2% for 2 years, but I believe somewhere between in the next 2 years we will see cheaper rates, and that's what I'm banking on. And those that are, under our mortgage books, will be advising when to fix and talking to our investors along the time when the time's right to fix at that point, but not at the moment for myself personally, and that's not financial advice for anyone here, but just asking on my question. Lisa, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Do you think the governments have overreacted to the corona scam, or do you believe they are taking reasonable measures? Lisa, I keep calling. I can't even say that word with the numbers and stuff. I can't call it that, right? And it's not because I'm trying to be like Trump. I feel it's so fake, right? It's so fake. Yes, there's an illness out there. Will people die from it? Yes. And I send my regards and my thoughts to the families of people that will be affected from it. However, no one. How many people die from Maccas every day from eating shit food? How many people die from diabetes? How many people die from heart attack? How many people die from stroke? How many people die from cancer? How many people die from car crash? How many people die from suicide? How many people die from radiation off their phones? Right? We've seen 20,000 people die in the world over a period of 4 months. people going fucking crazy, people, being inhumane to each other. I think, yes, there is a sickness there called the CoronaSCAM. However, I think it's being used to mop the floor. Lisa, you know the things we've spoken about in the mentoring over the course of 2 years, over 12 months, sorry, 2 years ago, talking about this stuff. It's very convenient. Like it's like it's being used to wipe the floor, and whatever we can throw at it, we can go, look, we're blaming this. Yep, it's this guy's fault. It's the CoronaSCAM. So have they done enough to measures at this point in time? I actually think that the other guy, Scott, the Prime Minister guy, he is in a very difficult place, right? I watch him on those live streams, right? And who saw the video and the cameraman in the corner? There's a guy in the corner of videos who's addressing everyone last Sunday, and he had on his hand, he had a tattoo, and it looked like this on his tattoo, right? And I was like, what the fuck? They couldn't make it any more obvious what that guy means by having a triangle tattooed on his hand. But I look at Scott, the Prime Minister guy, talking, and when I see him, I'm like, he's going, let's not let the kids have 12 months worth of non-schooling. Let's not have these kids disadvantaged. Well, what you're saying, you already know it's a year, right? You know it's a year that it's going to be. And if he was to say, okay, kids, don't go to school, kiddies stay at home, whatever the case may be, what would happen is that those workers, the kids' parents would have to stay at home and not be working. And that would cause a new problem there. So I believe that their hands are tied via the advice. I believe that the government is sharing all the information they know? Fucking no, not 100%, not even the slightest they're sharing what they know, right? They're scripted. Every word that comes out of their mouth is scripted. People might bag on Birchie and say, like, fuck, this guy's a bit rough and he swears and stuff like that. But I don't have a script to read out. Like, these guys are actors, and their hands are tied. Like, if they say everybody go and stay at home, there's no workers out there. So are they taking the right measures for what's there? I don't know. Right? Time will tell. People will die. This thing will come and pass, and the world will keep moving on. But I think they could take further measures. We are, in my opinion, going to a full-on lockdown, totalitarian martial law, fucking communist-style lockdown. How long will that be? Could be months. Could be up to a half a year or a year. So it's going to be interesting. Harrison, when will the bank run happen? It could happen anytime. There's no money in the bank, so they're not going to run with much. They're just going to run away with a bit of plastic card and whatnot. So major overreaction, quite possibly. Sam emailed the admin team. I'm looking forward to having a chat. Keep up the good work. Informative always. Thanks, mate. Appreciate the feedback. Should I invest in shares, a bottle of water for the live videos? Yes. I actually went out before any of this happened, and I was like, fuck, things aren't seeming right. And I bought pallets of bottled water in case water got infected and poisoned and whatnot, and like the good quality stuff too. So that's why I've been having a lot of water lately. Amanda, does the insurance still cover rent shortfalls, non-payment if the tenants are still in occupancy of a property? Yes, everybody's insurance is different. The landlord insurance doesn't cover if the tenants are still in place at the property. They have to abscond the property because then they need to have a final payout figure to give you. But if the tenant doesn't pay for rent, each insurance policy is different. Some might be 2 weeks, some might be 6 weeks, some might be 12 weeks, some might be 26 weeks. Absconding of the property. So ideally, when a tenant absconds, they trash the property and you get a free reno and your rent paid. But Brownie, don't understand what that means. Biggest financial scam in human history from Brennan. Yes, I believe we're in a scam. That's why I call it the CoronaSCAM. They're using it to wipe the floor. Ria, what should I do with my super? Very good question. It's a super your super's being stolen, watching it disappear daily. Everybody that's watching this video, you, your partner, your children or your parents, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties, everybody has super funds. You could, there's lots of different things that you can do with them. You could build a self-managed super fund, you could manage your own funds. There's all different ways to do things. Sometimes it's not viable for people to do a super fund. Sometimes you can connect your whole family and have like mum, dad, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, kids, grandparents, whatever, into a super fund, and build like a family cabal of a super fund. But you need to speak to a financial advisor. Myself, I'm booked out with phone chats 8 a day until August, right? August. Even Saturdays and Sundays are packed out with 8 a day. So things are pretty crazy at the moment. If you would like to send me an email at nathan@zingerfinance.com.au, and I will put you in contact with a financial advisor that I trust. I don't trust financial advisors. Mum always said as a kid, don't trust used car salesperson or an insurance salesperson. Most financial advisors are just glorified insurance salespeople. You need to have the right financial advisor that's going to be able to unlock the keys and get you to safety. So if you'd like, I can put you in contact with a couple of people that I trust. Not many of them that I trust. So if your super is disappearing, you're concerned about your super, your parents have a super, your siblings have a super, your spouse has super, everybody has a super. Anyone with a super fund, reach out. You can send me an email, as I said, nathan@zingerfinance.com.au. Send us a direct message on here, and I'll put you in contact with the right people. Danielle, I think you might have been censored again or capped or viewed, as I continue to receive an error message trying to join the live video. Either way, you're going to have to admit, a bit strange. All of a sudden, so many of us are struggling to view your live videos. There's a glitch in the matrix, guys. Ridwan's here. Ridwan is going to be on our Sunday night live. So get your questions ready on stimulus packages. Anyone with a business, make sure you're watching. If you know someone with a business, tag them in. If I can just ask a favour as well, guys. I see so many people saying, I love your content, love what you're putting out there. If you do really genuinely love what I do, if you can tag your mates, tag your family, share this around. I am being censored. I can tell from my views that I'm being censored at the moment. My video views have gone down by about 60% in the course of the last couple of weeks. Algorithms have changed. The video processing has changed at the back end. So if you can share it, if you can give it a like up, if you can give it a thumbs up, can give it a like, that would be much appreciated. And as well, if you do like this page and frequent here a lot, if you could just give me a review and share with the community, just to try and get that views and the reach out, because over time I do want to get a little bit more deeper and crazier on it. I do go into the crazy stuff in the birchFEED of what's really happening out there, and I've got a few things in birchFEED to read out for you guys as well. But I'm going to try and wrap up some of your questions here so I can get back to some of the cool things here in birchFEED. Tammy, do you have any advice for property owners that have been told by their tenants that they will not be paying rent for 6 months? Look, we've got lots of different strategies we're working on at the moment. I run a rent roll where I manage people's properties. I don't like sharing publicly, just because I'm sure there's lots of tenants out there that are watching, because they might get some ideas. But there will be tenants trying that. They will have to pay up. There will be, hopefully you've got insurances. If you've got a good real estate agent, they should be managing that. I actually have employed debt collectors at my firm to ensure that we get on top. I don't mean like debt collectors, like, we've got a few of them, but no. I'm talking about debt collectors that have worked in collections beforehand to try and nurture tenants through this. So it might have been fate that I employed actual debt collectors to work at my firm. So being able to nurture them, understand and communicate. It's not acceptable for a tenant not to pay any rent. Some people may be hurting, but I'm sure there's a lot of dickheads out there that will try and take advantage of the situation, which is not cool. Being able to read them their rights and being able to work with them and converse with them is going to be very, very important. That communication and the dialogue is very, very important. And I've got support in my office 7 days a week for property management to be able to work through this period of time and be able to work with the tenants to hand over as much money as they can. I'm getting a dry throat and I need to take a breath because I'm talking so much. But yeah, working with those tenants with good dialect and communication to ensure that they keep paying. If tenants are saying they're just not going to pay for 6 months, they're being dickheads and they are just trying to rort the system on you here. So there will be that. If you need some help and some pointers, maybe I can chat offline on Messenger or flick us an email, and I'll give you some feedback on how we can sort of navigate that and minimise that risk there. David, it says on the RBA website that the role of the RBA is to manage Australia's gold and foreign exchange reserve. Very interesting when you look back at what happened to the gold price in the GFC. It didn't boom back then, controlled. Now, if you go to the RBA website, you'll notice that as I said, this here was on the guy's hand on the video camera that was filming. It was like an endorsement. If you go to the website, the RBA looks like Satan himself, fucking 2 eyes and a gas mask on him. It also has down the bottom of the website a copyright symbol. If you go to the rba.gov.au, it has a copyright symbol. Go to Department of Health, go to the ATO, go to all the other websites. Government do not have copyright, but the RBA website has a copyright on it. That's because it's privately owned, and it says that it is an independent central bank that reports to the Australian government and its agencies. And if you think about it, if it reports to the Australian government, then it's not the Australian government and its agencies. Like some fucking jumping little bug in the corner of my house. If it was an agency, it wouldn't be reporting to the agency. So it's very interesting. Thanks for your advice from Vic. Thanks for being on here. If cash savings are at risk, isn't it better to move cash into an offset linked to a property for emergency use or fund usage, or better use that cash to reinvest? Reinvesting that cash is more important, in my opinion. Looking at what happened 2 years ago with liquidity in the banks, a lot of the banks actually closed down. Say if someone had a loan of 300 grand, but they only owed 100 on it, there was 200 grand in the offset. Some of the banks wound back those accounts down to $100,000 to take that $200,000 to allocate it to another person. That's capital controls. They're winding back and clawing back people's accounts. So just make sure that when you've got that money, that they're not actually going to take it off you, because that has happened a lot over the time. Christian, hi Nathan, would you recommend building wealth through property investments only or diverse investment categories? Also, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not here to give you financial advice. My personal position is very well invested into different areas. I have lots of different assets. Property is my predominant vehicle. I like it because it has certain elements. You've got cash flow that can be inflated away. You've got a capital growth that can be inflated away, as well as the fact that you can add leverage to it and be able to get a loan from a bank to expand your wealth, infinitely. So that's why I like property for. It's a big part of my position. So, but yeah, if you'd like to chat about that, Christian, flick me an email. I'll add my email address in the description later. It's just Nathan@Zinger Finance, ZINGER, like the burger, finance.com.au. So zingerfinance.com.au. There's no red flames around my logo, but the word Zinger is uniquely different. Alyssa, hi Nathan, what do you think will happen with the first homeowner grant? We never wanted to take advantage of it because you have to build, but do you think that they will allow previously lived in houses eventually? With the first homeowner grant back in the early 2000s, it came out for existing properties. It only went to new properties of recent years. We tried to build a trade economy, where we had a lot of tradies to, keep the economy moving along, and that's why it went to new houses. Could it go to second-hand and used properties? Very much possibility. There is different packages that come up on a regular basis, which change over time. So, it's important to keep an eye out. I own a law firm. Stephen Sidorovsky is principal director, lawyer over there, and he can help out with advising on each state, sort of first home grants as they pop up and stuff like that, if you want to speak to him. Leanne, should we be putting our mortgages on hold? Personal choice. For me personally, I'm going to be doing that shortly. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody because it could possibly, having capitalised interest there when refinancing it, it may have an impact, but it's too early day to see what would happen there. I think it's going to be a running thing to see over the next few months if that would hurt a refinancing situation. I'm personally going to do that to some of my properties. I'll do it to all of them if I can. But everybody's position is different. So if you'd like to maybe discuss some of your options, feel free to flick me an email at nathan@zingerfinance.com.au, and we can run through a few different scenarios. Nick, I have plenty of equity, 700 grand, but I'm a sole trader and find it hard to get a loan. Banks hate sole traders. How would I go in getting a loan? Flick me an email, nathan@zingerfinance.com.au. I look after lots and lots of investors' loans and tricky sort of situations. I can get my team to have a look at your position and see what we can do. If we can get you a loan, if I can get a loan, other people can get a loan. So reach out and I'll see what I can do for you. Ryan, just say you had $1 million in cash waiting for the stock market bottom. Where is the safest place to keep it? Split between banks. Can they access your self-managed super account if there is a bail-in? I don't trust any money in the banks. They say there's a $250,000 bank guarantee if your deposit goes if the bank goes bankrupt, your money that's in a deposit will be covered. It's only covered up to $250,000. And that is questionable within itself. So if I had $1 million, which I don't like having $1 million, so I'm always buying stuff with it. But if I had $1 million, I would split that over four banks, 250 grand in each one. Or if you had a spouse, maybe 250 in each name at the bank and 250 at another bank in each name. Okay, but I'm hoping there is a good can come from this change that we wouldn't change. Look, guys, it's very, very interesting times. I like to be excited about this. I'm getting pumped in certain different ways from this. I've got businesses out there. I've got lots of staff on my payroll. It is going to be a trying time. There is going to be hurdles. There is going to be adversity in this period of time. But, I'm looking at the opportunity is so far. Even if I had, I feel like I walk around like a stegosaurus, right? I've got fucking knives hanging on my back all day. But the opportunity, I'll collect a few more knives whilst looking at that opportunity as we walk through this time. It's a very interesting and exciting time. Tether is worse than the Fed. They print whatever they want. Crypto guys on here, look, there's lots of crypto. It's very, very new. I really am heavily invested into crypto. I like crypto. There is a lot of scams. It will be very interesting to see how cryptocurrency fends through this time. Cryptocurrency was here to destroy inflation. And something interesting, and I might do a whole video on this over the next couple of days, but looking at cryptocurrencies, the more money that gets injected into the system, right, the more liquidity, that money can find itself into crypto, food, investments, shares, cars, whatever, right? The more money that's going to get printed, the more money it's going to find itself in the crypto, and the higher it's going to go up in value. People have like a higher confidence in what it does. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens to crypto in this period of time. Hayden, what is the point of paying taxes when no one is working and earning? If you own zero, you zero tax already. That is one of the bullshit things that I've been seeing with this cycle, is saying that we're going to have tax incentives and stuff. No one's got a job. Who gives a fuck about taxes, right? You need cash. You need to print out fiat cash. There's an article which I'm going to go into shortly. We're going to get to birchFEED, but it is an interesting point there, Hayden. How long do you think will we have to accumulate properties before hyperinflation kicks in? Could be a couple of years, could be a decade, could be a year. It's a very good question. I did a video. I actually filmed a video on it yesterday, and they're very poor quality videos that I've shot, but the in-between meetings are very, very short on time at the moment. Like, things are crazy. At this end, helping people fix their supers and helping people get the safety and take advantage of things. But I'll try to take videos, and I did take some good videos on this topic. So they'll come out on YouTube very, very shortly, and we'll share that in the community as well. None of them will have internet within a week. Jenny says, why do you think that? A lot of people watching internet. It's actually reported that Netflix and YouTube have had to lower the quality of their video streaming so we don't crash the internet, because everyone at home is on the internet at the moment. No one's out at the beach, no one's out at the shops, no one's out traveling, no one's out working. To the amount of traffic that's going through the internet. I actually do, someone was talking about a conspiracy on that front. I was thinking about it today. People are talking about the 5G. Wouldn't it be a great time to turn the 5G network on now? And it has lots of negative health situations as well. So it will be interesting to see what they do. Joseph, hi Nathan, I've been following you for a while. Love your content. Do you believe that the virus was a natural occurrence or part of the plan? I believe it's a part of the plan. I'm going to get into that in a moment as well. But I think that it has a lot of different things it could be. I believe it's biological warfare, and I believe that Bill Gates has something very strong to do with it, and Warren Buffett, his boyfriend. And if you look into that, a lot of people say, why do you hang shit on Bill Gates? Bill Gates owns 17% of the World Health Organization. He's also a very satanic sort of guy. He created a patent for the virus on this, and also has poisoned half of Africa to make them sort of infertile. So, and the reason why I say Warren Buffett is every single time you have a photo of Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, you've always got the other one sitting in there. They're always happy, always smiling, always hugging. So that's my reference to him being his boyfriend. They're like, always together, and it's just interesting to see that. But I think that it's a stunt that's been pulled. Also, vaccinate people. I'm not going to get into any vaccine, but I think vaccines, to sell those vaccines and push that agenda and do whatever negative effects may come from that. Hayden said Telstra will be giving away for nothing. Yeah, free internet, everyone's been talking about. I saw that, just that taboo. Yeah, Michael's talking about that guy with the video camera. The triangle actually posted in birchFEED, and I was like, really interesting. I just left it there, like no fucking comment. But it was just really, really watching. Danny, should I stop my weekly direct debits for rates, power, and water? Have they stopped essential service payments? No one go out there, do anything crazy. Just keep contact with people. Speak to your energy provider. Speak to your councils. Call up, ask for relief. Don't just not pay anything, because it could have a very negative effect on your credit file and whatnot. So don't just stop paying bills, but try and negotiate and say, hey, can I not pay it for 6 months? For me, I pay about $100,000 a month in interest. If I can save 100 grand a month in interest, 100 grand a month times 6 months, that's 600 grand. In a fucking crisis, 600 grand in my pocket would be much better than in the banks. I can't get loans at the moment using your standard sort of traditional banking outlets. So getting them to give me mortgage-free periods would be tremendous. So, yeah. Not financial advice though, guys. Amanda, with the majority of Australian staying at home, can Australia afford the nappy boom that will come in 9 months' time in the new year in January 2021? They need more tax slaves to be paying off all this money that they're printing. So, it could be a part of the plan as well. Jesse, hey Nathan, any thoughts on China secretly buying up the company's properties on the cheap because of the coronavirus? I heard Alan Jones talking about it. I don't know about the China creating it. I think it was an attack on China. I think China in 2020 is the Middle East and Muslims and whatnot. In 2001, they are the fall guys. They are the guys that have been bullied here to hand over the keys. China has a lot of pull. What a greater way to blame something that didn't exist. So it's like, okay, we're not going to the war, but look at what happened over here. I don't think that they're trying to buy up. They could be. I don't know. It's all speculative. I think that there's more, evil sort of aspects to it than simply China trying to buy up assets on the cheap. They've already bought half the assets on the cheap anyway. Hey Nath, know of any jobs going around? Good question. We should do something actually, because we've got a big community here. We should try and do something where we can see who needs a job and who's looking to employ someone and try and match them up. So maybe we could do something like that. So if you've got someone that's been unemployed or whatnot, I actually am in the process of employing 10 new staff at the moment. 10 new staff. 5 customer service staff. There is an ad on Seek for that. 5, very important, I need 5 new brokers, experienced brokers, not juniors. I've got a large brokerage firm, Zinger Finance, and I require 5 new brokers on a full-time basis to commence working with my group immediately. So if you know any brokers, tag them in. If they're looking for a job or looking for some work, it would be great to speak to them and get an understanding, just to try and help with the workflow we've got at the moment. Michael, give us the birchFEED stats and theories with what's occurring, and what do you think Bill Gates is doing in Africa? Can you elaborate a little bit more? I will post about Bill Gates a little bit more and what he's doing in birchFEED in due course. I'll go dig up some information on that. However, he's selling vaccines which basically reduce population. He's been a very big advocate, basically predicting what the Georgia Guidestones say, which is to keep world population at about 500 million people, currently at like 9 billion people, so we need to cull the population. You could poison people via making them infertile, in doing certain different things via the food, controlling the vaccines, controlling the medicine that is in this world today. So Tommy said, telling my neighbour about NIML, he asked, is it too late to set up a self-managed super fund, or should people wait for the super funds to bounce back and go self-managed super fund? Good question. I'm going to stop answering questions in here after Shweta and Tommy questions are answered, and then go straight to the news and birchFEED. So is it too late to set up a super fund? Whilst I'm not allowed to give financial advice, as I'm not a financial advisor, it would be important to speak to the right people. Is it too late? I really don't want to get into these questions, and I've had a lot of people ask me, just mates and stuff as well. In theory, if we look at, for example, the stock market at the moment has been hit. The central banks are putting I'll answer that one too, Tommy. They're injecting liquidity in the system. So these stock markets are going back up in value. If you notice, as the stock markets are going up, the bond yields going down lower, and that's because they're printing so much money to pump up the stock market. The value of the money is losing money. So it is actually having that spread. And I do post that inside of birchFEED, which is where it's at negative 11 basis points, or like 11th of a percent, 11/100ths of a percent negative. So looking at as they're printing more money, that's what's going to push those rates negative. That's what's going to see us at negative interest rates by them having to stimulate the system. That's how I've already calculated what can go back in. Technically, the market should shit himself, and I predicted that would be at 16,000 in the Dow. It hit about 18,000 and started going back up. If it had been left, it should have gone down to 16,000. So the stock markets could revert back in the short term. However, what no one has factored in, and this is very important with anyone thinking they're going to buy shares right now, they're going to catch a falling knife, whatever, right? We could see a rally and we could end up at 30 or 40,000 on the Dow Jones. However, what we've got to remember is that the companies, when they start reporting in July, August, more likely August, September, big reporting months of October and November. That's why you see a lot of recession start around October to November, because we're going to see the music stop. We're going to see these reports come in from all these companies, and they're going to be like, hey, look at what's our report is. We've been bankrupt all year. We're trading insolvent. Our business is completely fucked, has no money left in it. We've been hollowed out from the inside. We've got no staff, no business. There's nothing here. And then the company will fall off a cliff and die. And we're going to see these companies just blowing up, right? Blowing up. There's going to be companies, people aren't going to be paying bills to people. So, and that's another thing, right? I've just employed a new litigation lawyer, right? A lawyer to go and sue. And some of you guys might have businesses and may need help sort of collecting funds and suing people and whatnot during this time from litigation. If you need the help on that front, I will be providing that support via my team. So if you'd like to reach out if you do need some people getting sued or you need some corporate litigation during this time, have the right people to be able to extend that help out to the community as well. But will the super funds bounce back? I believe they will. But I believe that we'll also see a second tranche of this mess around September, October, November of 2020. So do keep that prediction. People want to know a prediction of mine. Wait until that point in this year. September, October, November, maybe August as well. Speak to Nimal. If you'd like to look at your supers, like to save your supers, hit us up, send us a private message. Email myself at nathan@zingerfinance.com.au, put you in contact with the right people. Bank buy-ins, is their money safe in the bank? Your money is not safe in the bank. Money is not safe at all because you're going to lose the purchasing ability of it. But, will the Australian banks go under? I doubt it. I think the Australian banks are very, very safe in comparison to lots of other banks out there. However, I still don't trust them. So that's just my view. And the part where I laughed is Tommy asked me if I had any toilet paper left, which I do, but I'm not telling anyone where I live because I couldn't be bothered going to the shops. I'm going to go to some news. I did beforehand talk about the $10,000 cash ban that came out in May 2018. However, I saw this one tonight. This was from one of our birchFEED subscribers. And it was very, very interesting. So this is from The Guardian here, and it says Gordon Brown calls for global government to tackle coronavirus. XPM at centre of the 2008 Banks rescue suggests task force of leaders and health experts. Gordon Brown has urged world leaders to create a temporary form of global government to tackle the twin medical and economic crises caused by the CoronaSCAM pandemic. I can't say that word with the 1 and the 9 in it. It looks very uncomfortable to say that. I can't say it. The former Labor minister, who was at the centre of the international efforts to tackle the impact of the near meltdown of the banks in 2008, said there was a need for a task force involving world leaders, health experts, and head of the international organisation, which execute powers, coordinate the response. No one questions, right? If you think about this media, it doesn't matter if it's TV, it doesn't matter if it's written in news or whatnot, they all run off scripts. Who are these scientists, right? What's your background? Right? You're a scientist, that's cool, right? But what other aspects are there, right? No one questions these people, right? Who are they? Who are these people? Who are these actors, right? I know when I've come across, right? I've been on the media a lot of times. I've been on the media over 100 times on TV. And there are always agendas, right? And there's these people with their agenda. They've got to push an agenda, right? Who's backing the World Health Organization? When the Rockefeller Institute and Bill Gates Foundation, he says he's a philanthropist and he's a good old man. He's donating all his money. No, he's not. He's fucking profiteering from fucking killing people with medicine. That's why Bill Gates is a bad guy. That's why he's a bad guy. So everyone goes, oh, this World Health Organization, they're doing great things. Are they doing great things, or are they doing stuff for power? Because imagine if you had all the money in the world, right? I always think about it like, people say, why don't you just go away and hide and go and be happy, go fishing, go on boats with naked chicks all the time, right? That sounds great, but there's got to be something else that you actually go and strive for in life. And these guys, the games of the rich, human capital, right? Like, from the fucking horse, right? They're like, woohoo, it's Melbourne Cup, let's hit that horse. The reality of it is that the games of the rich are, control, power, moving nations, controlling nations. Just interesting times. Just having a look here at some of my notes that I actually put down to start at the start of the night. One of the questions was, I got asked a lot beforehand, I'll touch on again, people saying that property may fall. Property may do anything. But the funny thing is that how can someone go bankrupt when interest rates are zero, right? They're not even allowing you to go bankrupt. When in fucking history has this happened? This will come at the cost of the dollar. The dollar will ultimately suffer and pay for this. When I say the dollar, it will happen with inflation. I believe that we will see a new sort of cryptocurrency, digital sort of format that will come in as part of the stimulus. They'll say, look, the money is too much money, we're going to control it, we've got this big solution, we're going to fix it. We're going to have this currency, it's been created via this potential new government, which has been put in. Because in the middle of 2008, every time there's a bankruptcy that happens that causes a global shock, like whether it be 2001, like in 2001 they created new government agencies in order to create a war and invade countries that fucking had nothing to do with it, which were holding assets. In 2008, the banks went bankrupt, and they need to be bailed in by the central banks. I believe this time we will see. I reckon this time we'll see the central banks get bailed out via the IMF, and I believe that we'll see something via the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Find out who owns it, find out who controls it. Right? If you think that Mr. like fucking Scotty boy is here to save us, right? And then you think about who's laid on top, and I see here Boris Johnson and these guys, and then you've got the Queen. Fuck the Queen, she's a lizard. But then you've got all these people that are stacked on top. What about the ones that control the International Monetary Fund? Who are they? Who are these people that don't even got on a camera? Who are those people? What are their agendas? What do they like for sport? They want to see, China versus US. Like, where do they come from? Where do they reside? Where do they live? Who are these people? It's just interesting. I believe we'll see the IMF bail out the central banks. So we've seen the central banks bail out the banks and corporations. Now we've seen so in 2008 we saw companies die, we saw stock markets die, we saw countries sort of die a little bit. This crisis, I believe we're going to see currencies die, governments die. And I talked about this all in my mentoring program 2 years ago when everyone thought I was batshit crazy. I actually saw some videos the other day and I thought, fuck, I must have sounded crazy. I must have sounded crazy from the shit that was coming out of my mouth back in the day, but it doesn't sound too crazy now because the whole world sounds crazy. So I can respect it, I can understand it. But yeah, with it, I've got a question here. Am I a lizard? No, I'm not a lizard, not that I'm aware of. I don't shapeshift, I don't change, but there is some animals up there on the wall, but there's no, that's just for laughter, So the IMF, I believe, will buy out the central banks. The central banks will go under, and it will be taken out via the IMF. I believe that there'll be a new financial instrument that will be created, which will which everyone will be using. I'm just trying to read some of my notes here. Okay, going to birchFEED. What's in birchFEED? Anyone got questions from birchFEED? If you do, ask them away. I will answer them for you. I'm just going to go back through last couple of days. Who saw my John Howard video where John Howard was harassed by someone and talked about Israel and his connections with Israel? What's the connection with Israel, guys? What's the connection? Why does it say in Bibles and different religions about motherland being over in Israel and whatnot? I've been posting so much stuff here, right? Some good videos to watch. Here, I found this thing. Here we go. There's that photo of the guy's hand. Look, there's the photo of it. Posted it in there the other day. It's really funny. Good old Scotty over there. Good old Scotty. Good on you. So yeah, looking at the system. Anyone notice that we have got Harvey Weinstein? Did anyone notice? Anyone know who Harvey Weinstein is? He's the guy that's been, accused of lots of bad practices and owned Miramax. He was the founder of that, very big media mogul. Suddenly he caught, I don't know why it's a bit too bright here. Good old Harvey got coronavirus. Is he going to allegedly die off? It'll be interesting. Anyone ever realise the words to the umbrella from 2008? So in 2008, pre-GFC, there was the song from Rihanna. If you go and watch the words to it, saying hydroplane through the bank, crashing down like the Dow Jones. We have a look here, and the song was released in March in 2007. So I don't know if we can see that. From Wikipedia, Umbrella, March 2007, this song came out. And then the GFC occurred in April 2007 and August 2007. So how did they know that the stocks were going to come down like the Dow Jones a month before that happened when the song was released, right? It's pretty interesting, eh? Got some videos of the US military coming in. Some little videos there of tanks coming through. They get sent through. I look for all random news here just to be able to report to you guys. Indonesia estimates more than 500,000 people have been in contact with the coronavirus over there. Got a really cool old video here of Mike Maloney and Robert Kiyosaki from in 2008 giving predictions when the GFC occurred. We look at daily what happens with the stock market with feedback. As we can see, 18,500. Everywhere around the world. If we look at Infinity, Stimulus, Michael Hill Jewelers, First Capital closed down. Lots and lots of news, guys. There's so much stuff happening in here. I post constantly. There's like a post I did, when was it? Yesterday, that has about 8 hours worth of video content. If you're sitting at home getting brainwashed via Netflix, you could be watching Netflix, or you could be, checking out education. I had someone ask me today, and I put a video on my own Instagram. What could you do to improve yourself during this period of time? I went for a walk tonight, so I've got this stupid singlet on. I don't like having brands, so that's why I always have plain shirts. But I've got this singlet given to me, which has a Nike logo on it. But I'm going to be trying to get more built and look after my health a little bit, researching. But what I said on my video, and my thoughts for everyone is A, educate yourself as much as you can. There's so much knowledge out there, so many things that we don't know, so many things we can be researching, so many things that we can be feeding ourselves on a positive front to improve ourselves. Also, all of us have things where we're like, why didn't you get fit? Oh, because I'm too busy. Why is your business not where it needs to be? Because I've been too busy. Why haven't I, done this to the business? Because I've been too busy. Why haven't you done this with your loved ones? That sounds really awkward, right? Because I've been too busy. This is an opportunity, whilst you've got the time to focus on your life, you can either spend it every day getting fucking stoned, drink, alcohol, fuck yourself up silly, or you can improve yourself to have a better version of you. In times of crisis, it's easy to hide under a rock, blame the world, complain, have problems, or it takes real good character to be able to step up and go, fuck, like we can improve things here. There's a world of opportunity here, and take charge of your life. And I think it's important, whilst people can be, in delicate times at the moment, and it can be emotional roller coaster or whatnot for people. I think it's important to stay focused and stay stable and look at how you can move forward and improve your life in all different aspects. So a couple of last little comments here. Boris has corona now. That's pretty funny. And we had Prince Charles have corona. I saw a meme about him. Prince Charles caught corona because he was eating out an old bat. Maybe it's 10:30 at night. The kids are in bed. Say funny stuff like that. Tommy, can we respond or comment in birchFEED? No, it's just a commentary for me to comment upon in there. I've got a few of you that are, got my number and stuff. You send me stuff on Facebook. I don't always get a chance to read all social channels. Like I was commenting about how many emails I get a day. I'm having a look here on my screen. I've got 51,741 unread emails. And I try and get through everybody's emails, try to get through everyone's messages, and reply to everything. So, if I do miss something, if it is a bit of what I'd hate to do is have a chat where everybody's waiting for a reply. It'd be the worst thing. So, that's why I get onto these things really late whilst it's I've got more time and being able to spend with you guys. Harrison, are all countries' currencies going to hyperinflate at the same time, or just the AUD? This is a global crisis. It was never an Australian issue. It's always been a global issue, and we will all lose our currencies at the same time. It's going to be very, Rowena, how much is spam or scammers? Well, maybe half of it is spam, real estate agents with open home, stuff like that. I have like hundreds of email addresses. Some of them are a little bit newer, like my nathan@zingofinance.com.au, where I'll throw it out there and people comment in. And, I've got my main email addresses. I've got my property email addresses where people email me for all my property related stuff. So they're sort of indexed in certain inboxes. But there is some inboxes in there which do get, like every Thursday, every Friday, I get like 100 Ray Whites and 100 LJ Hookers. And you can see like each office is the same email with some properties with the same content with a different person's name. It's pretty funny. So, Amanda, what is the common time period frame for a loan with interest only and problems in extending the period of an interest only period? Good question. It can be a year for an interest only. It could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Interest only, generally they're about 3 to 5 years. To extend it is basically writing a whole new loan. That's why it's important while you have the opportunity to every couple of years revisit your loans, see what you can do to restructure your loans, restructure your debt, and put yourself into a better position. Because in times like now, I'm seeing people which have got shit loans, which as of Monday, they're going to be able to get better loans with better institutions, which do things like security swaps, for example. So if your loan is with a second or third tier lender that doesn't take deposits, you cannot do a portable loan. If you're with one of the big four that is a deposit-taking institution, let's say you have a property that you sell for $1 million and you have a 500 grand loan on it. If you're with a big four bank, there's a thing called a portable loan where you can actually, it depends on each bank, and don't want to hold me to this, but you can actually make your loan portable. So instead of, like, let's say for instance, you may not service for a new loan today and you wanted to sell off an asset, you could sell off that property for $1 million, put the $500,000 in your bank, and most people would go and pay out the $500,000 loan. However, if you have the right loan setup and the right loan product, you could put the 500,000 in your pocket and the other 500,000 put it into a term deposit and make that the security for that loan. So then you've got a term deposit, which is a security, and then you can go back and use that loan again to buy another property and do a security substitution or swap, which is very important. So structuring of the debt is important. At Zinger Finance, what me and my team specialise in is making sure that you've got the right debt vehicle to take you from one paradigm, and it is one paradigm right now, to a different paradigm in the future. So it is important to look at that regularly, reconsider, am I getting the best position? It's not always about the cheapest interest rate, it is about the vehicle, because so many people that can't get debt that wish they did have debt, and if they had to structure their shit better, they'd be like, great, I'd go back in time and change that. So important to check it out. Paul, any thoughts on why CBA only gave that last rate cut to only fixed rate customers rather than to variable customers? Good question. I have a few views on why I see that happening. One is that they want to promote their fixed rates. Two, if you notice that fixed rates are cheaper than variable rates, and this could be a very important lesson for everybody here for interest rates. If the bank is taking a bet on a fixed rate lower than the variable rate, great chances is that everybody takes this rate, the rates are still going to come lower because the bank is making a bet with the consumer. The bank has a lot more money than all of us collectively put together to make that call. So if when you're with the bank, if they're making a bet against the rates coming down, generally the rate's going to come down lower, and that's why I'm sitting on the sidelines, because if the fixed rate is lower than the variable, generally the rate's going to come down lower. If the fixed rate is higher than the variable rate, it means that variable rate is most likely going to go up. So why they didn't give reductions in the last rate drop to variable rates to everybody and pass it on in full. Look, I'm not a big fan of the banks, but they're a necessary evil to build wealth. But the banks are going to have some very big funding costs coming in at the current time. They've still got staff to pay. They've still got all these expenses and whatnot. However, they're going to take a hit because no one's going to be paying their mortgages. So they still need to make a premium somewhere, and they're going to be making that premium by a larger spread on your mortgage, so they can have better cash flow coming through. So that is why, in my opinion, that they didn't pass on the rate cut, just due to the fact that they're going to have to prop up things from different areas. One of my views in the future, screenshot this, take this for a time in the future, I believe that we will see a bailout from the central banks. I think the central banks will bail out and buy out all the banks over the course of this depressionary period. Before we head to hyperinflation, we're going to see the banks fall, but the RBA step in and buy them out. So then the banks are all owned by the RBA by the time this is over. And then the RBA having to get taken out by the IMF and get extra funding from there. So it's just going to be a very, very interesting time. Ultimately, the sleight of hand and the power move is from those that are very, very powerful, and this is a game of chess. So just be very careful, be safe out there, guys. Been on here for 2 hours. It's time that I go, but I will be back Sunday night, and I will be popping out videos. So keep an eye out over the course of the coming days and weeks. I'm going to be putting out a lot more little videos that are just going to appear in social media, whether it be here, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be my personal Facebook, whether it be my personal Instagram, whether it be the B.Invested Instagram. It'll be around there. So we'll catch up soon. Have a good weekend. Have your last little bit of freedom before you are a captive prisoner in your own home. Could be for days, weeks, most likely months. So stay safe, guys, and be careful of that CoronaSCAM. Bye for now.